Hi, I'm Gregg Vanderheiden, and with me is Marte, and we're from the University of Maryland and Raising the Floor. The topic is, will AI allow us to dispense with all or most accessibility regulations in the future? In a nutshell, ICT has become so integral to most all aspects of our lives that it's no longer just a good thing to provide when we can or to those who can. It's so essential that we really have to figure out how to provide it to all of the people, and we need to provide it to all of the different products and devices that they have to use in their daily lives. However, our current approach to accessibility isn't working. We made great progress in the last 30 years, but only 5 to 10% of the products meet the minimum guidelines, and even those do not cover all types, degrees, and combinations of disabilities. WCAG, for example, says right up front, meet everything here, even AAA, and you still aren't going to meet all the needs of people with disabilities. AI and other emerging technologies give us an opportunity to really approach accessibility in a new way, and a new way that has the potential to work with nearly 100% of products and to provide accessibility to almost all users in a way that's practical. So, what is our current accessibility approach? Currently, we require all companies to try to design all of their products to be directly usable by people with all types, degrees, and combinations of disabilities. And when that's not possible, as a safety net, we say make the products accessible to all AT so that people with disabilities can use their AT. Why doesn't it work? Well, first of all, cost. Although making things accessible is a small percentage of total product design and cost, it is actually still a fair amount of money, and especially when you're trying to design for each different type, degree, and combination of disability. Secondly, the knowledge that's required. This approach actually assumes that all of the design teams have the expertise to try to design for all of the disabilities, and accessibility experts can't even do that. And thirdly, we have that big safety net. We only go so far built in, and then we say, oh, depend on the AT. Well, it's full of holes. First of all, we have closed products, and those are products that specifically exclude the ability to use assistive technology, kiosks, ATMs, thermostats, all sorts of things. So there's no safety net for products in this ever-growing category. And secondly, even when there is AT, it's only available for some disabilities. And for those for whom it is not available, there's no safety net for them. The end result is that only a small percentage of products are actually accessible. And even that small percentage, where we think it's really great, it's got built-in accessibility, works with AT, it only works with some people who have disabilities. And often these are the power users or the more technically proficient users with disabilities. We have lots of people who are blind, for example, who are unable to use screen readers, and people who are unable to figure out how to use the built-in accessibility features in an iPhone, for example. We need to find a way to provide access for all users and access to all of the ICT and digital interfaces they encounter and have to use in daily life. But what if we could leverage the AI and emerging technologies to approach accessibility in an entirely new way? What if we could shift from a place where companies are expected to make all their products work for all people, and if they can also make them so that they work with all of the AT of all of the people, and then users are supposed to have the AT, of course, if there is an AT for them, and cognitive language and learning is an area where there isn't a lot, and also for the particular products they're doing. So we have access to computers, but we don't have AT to access all of the other digital interfaces we encounter. Let's shift that to a model where companies just need to make their products accessible and usable by the average or median user. Okay? Take the population from the most capable, able, brightest at the top, on all the categories to the bottom, and just find the median user. If you can make it usable by that. And then users if they can't use whatever is built into that interface, and including any built-in access the company wants to add, they would use what we call an individual user interface generator, which would create an interface designed specifically for them that would automatically design an interface specifically for them and specifically for each product they encounter. So what would that look like? So here is a graphic, and in the middle is a thing called an infobot. And this infobot can look at the washing machine, the fax machine, the camera, the television set, the remote control, the television set, the microwave oven, or the crock pot, the cook pot. And it looks at it, and it can understand and use that interface. Then it connects on the back end to what's called an individual user interface generator, and there's two on here. One of them is one designed for a blind person who is tech savvy and has good fine motor control. And the other one is for an IUIG for a person with low vision, with tremor, and they have trouble with hierarchical or complex interfaces. So each of these IUIGs generates interfaces for each of those products that's different, and it's optimized for just that particular individual. So the infobot, it would be something that would use computer vision and a product standard input mechanism. So there's no API for this. It just looks at the same interface that everybody else does. So you don't have to worry about, the company doesn't have to build a special API for AT or for the infobot. It would just use the same interface everybody else did. And it also, by the way, works with closed products because, again, it just uses the same interface everybody else would. It would be able to understand any interface that the median, i.e. 50th percentile user can, and it would learn the interfaces with a single browse, going through it once. And typically this would be done when the company was making it and trying it out with the infobot to make sure it all worked. And so the infobot would know. And once it knows it, it then knows it everywhere. It's stored in a centralized knowledge base in the cloud, but ideally it would be brought down to a local place for use so that it would stay private and you would not leak information back to the crowd. It would be open source. The individual user interface generators would take the form information from the infobot, and they would create an interface tailored to each specific individual. Now, for each and every product with a digital interface that user encounters. So it's a IUIG that makes interfaces only for one person, but they can aim it at any product and it will create an interface for that product for that person. The IUIGs would be designed by teams of experts for each different type, degree, and combination of disability. So you don't have to have somebody who knows how to design things for everybody. They only have to be able to design it for the particular disability that you're creating an IUIG for. And they can be open source or proprietary, just like current AT solutions. Key impacts. First of all products become accessible, because you can just aim it at any product, and as long as a human being can use it, it would be able to use it, and it would create the interface for a user. And it would be accessible to all types, degrees, and combinations of disability. So the only people who couldn't use it would be individuals that we just can't figure out how to create an interface for them. As long as we can do it and give them an IUIG, they're in business. And it can maintain consistent user mental models across products so that the same person looking at different products is not giving them totally different kinds of interfaces. And it's going to be easier and simplified compliance for companies. Limitations, well, it's going to be disruptive. It's going to change mainstream and disability accessibility industries. Privacy is a potential if it all ran and learned in the cloud, but not if we can make it run locally. Funding is going to be, we have to figure out who's going to fund the infobot development and maintenance. Industry can help, especially with the infobot, but it's going to require a new social contract between industry, consumers, and society. And note, consumers are righteously cautious about new technologies replacing existing ones before their effectiveness is proven by and for consumers. So incremental adoption and gradually integrating is likely to be the best approach for us to be using. And don't rely on it until it's proven. Thank you.